What's up? Welcome into your daily Buckeye Blitz for a Thursday. You know it's a thirsty Thursday. It's always a thirsty Thursday, even on Tuesday. Anyway, March 9th, 2023. I'm your host, Joe from the Buckeye Cast, bringing you more clips from the press conferences on Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk Coach Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator. He's going to give his insight on some players, fixing big plays, things like that. The jack position, a lot of jack talk jack, back jack. Don't forget, share that Amazon announcement video with a friend or a family member. We're only 34 subscriptions away from drawing another winner. Hopefully we can do it this Sunday night on our YouTube Live. Note, Sunday night, YouTube Live, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully we can crank out 34 subscriptions soon. So jump in there, share it with somebody, and let's get there and announce and draw another winner. All right, here we go. I'm going to play some Jim Knowles audio for you. I'll introduce each clip so you know what he's talking about. All right. Number one, what are we talking about here? Okay, let's start off with the good news. How do you fix the big play problems from 2022?
I need to find ways to protect our guys better, but I can't do that like just that week. I think I have to have more of a bigger view, so some of the things that I'm going to put in camp, spring, are geared now more to those matchup games, to avoid those situations where, one error is costly to our defense, and then I have to preach the competition against our offense, because we got a great offense. I feel like I was last year more into the teaching aspect of it to make sure that we got it, understood it, and but now we understand it. I need to ramp up the accountability for competing in practice, one-on-one in all those spots, because every practice for us is like a matchup game, right? These big matchup games. We need to perform better in practice against our offense, and treat that as our practice for when we get to the matchup games.
I can't argue with that. Definitely, you need to perform well in practice if you think you even are going to have a shot in the freaking games, especially these matchup games he's calling them. The talent equated games, Ryan Day would call them. Your Michigans, your Georgias, teams like that. So, yeah, I agree. And notice he talked about accountability. That's going to be a huge pressure point this year, especially on the defense. So you're going to see accountability being preached more and more. We've heard it since February 1st when we talked to the coaches back then. You're going to continue to hear that, I think. So what does he think of Sonny Styles? How does he fit into this year's defense?
Yeah, I think when you look at the potential best 11 players, for the 2023 defense, I mean, he's a guy that our staff is going to point at and say, we need to find a way to get him in there. He held his own in the semifinal, and I think he's just got all kinds of skills. So, yeah, we got to experiment with him in different places, see what's best for Sonny and our defense, but he's definitely on our mind, and he will be all spring in terms of getting him into a position that's effective, for the defense.
Yeah, I'm glad he's on your mind. He's on my mind too, Coach. What about CJ Hicks? Is he on your mind?
CJ, great athlete, really good kid, good energy, good team guy. And I think that is worth saying, right? Because when you're 5-star and Mr. Everything, I think it's challenging to come into a top 5 program and not play right away. But he handled it really well. CJ's situation is different because, there's couple guys coming back. There's a lot of experience there. He plays in a position that's closer to the ball. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's some learning, you know, in terms of all the schemes and all the different fits that you get as a linebacker. If you're up front, you know, you're attacking, you know, you can get in pretty early in your career. And if you're on that back end, you have space and distance and all that to figure it out. So I'm really just looking for improvement from CJ, you know, not putting any pressure on him. I'm really just looking for him to improve this spring. I know he's going to have a great career, but I haven't put any kind of timeline on him yet.
Okay, well, I understand not putting a timeline. You really can't because every player is different. But all right, so let's talk about the jack position. We're going to have a few clips here in a row related to the jack. So everybody loves the freaking jack, right? So first off, do you see CJ Hicks as the jack?
Yeah, I've thought about that. I have thought about that for CJ because when directed, he's like skilled and he can get from point A to point B quickly. I don't know how much we'll be delving into the jack this spring, but I think it is something good to look at CJ for the fall.
All right. So who can play the jack position?
We did not quite use the position as much as I had hoped last year. It just didn't seem to develop with our personnel. And so this spring I want to focus on the fundamentals, you know, of our 4 down and really getting better at the fundamentals. But I see CJ as a candidate and Mitch Melton. And one of the reasons I'm not going to get into it this spring as much is because Mitch, who I thought had a real chance, like he's still coming off that injury and he won't be ready for camp.
Okay, so we knew Melton was a candidate, but what else about Mitch Melton?
Yeah, I want to see him back to where he was, right? So we moved him from linebacker to the front when I got here, and then started experimenting with him in the jack position, and he jumped out. He jumped out. He really did. To Coach Johnson, you know, and to me, and things that he did. So I just want to see him back there. I want to see, okay, has he recovered completely? Is he healthy?
All right, makes sense. Definitely wanted to see him healthy first. What about Jack Sawyer? Is he still in the jack position?
Jack will be just, you know, he'll be an end with JT. You know what I mean? And he'll work on all those fundamentals of being an end. You know, I think that's important for Jack. You know, I feel like he didn't have the improvement or the big jump that he could have last year because he got involved in the jack stuff and maybe he wasn't as focused as he could have been to make those improvements at D end. So I want to make sure I keep him at D end opposite JT.
Okay, so back to defensive end for Jack Sawyer. Like Larry Johnson said a few weeks ago, February 1st, he wants Jack to have a home and then stick with it. So how much Jack are we going to see? Or how much Jack did we see in 2022, actually? How much did we see from that position?
I thought it could get up to be a third, and it just didn't, you know, we weren't as productive out of it. You have to go with what works, you know, so I don't know, maybe it was 15%, maybe it was half of what I had hoped it to be.
That's interesting. That explains Jack Sawyer's low stats and lack of production, in my opinion. So last jack question, I promise. How do you recruit the jack position? What kind of position is that in high school?
I think what you're looking for is someone who's just an extremely productive football player but doesn't fit into anyone's mold, you know? That guy who's just, you know, well, the D-line coach says he's not big enough, you know. The linebacker coach says he doesn't read well enough, you know. Or the running back coach said, well, he's a really good player, but he's not, you know, one of the top 3 running backs in the country. And I feel like eventually we'll have something to sell in that area.
Okay. That's interesting. I wonder when What are you selling, and when will that be? I mean, we know what you're selling, but when will that be is the question. But let's talk quarterbacks. Why shouldn't the defensive coordinator talk quarterbacks, right?
Devin can run around. Kyle manages the game really well. They both have their strengths, and in terms of reading defenses, I know this is going to be a big spring for them, but I don't have that much to say about them, except I think they're both very talented, and look forward to see how it goes this spring.
Safe answer. Way to play the middle there. All right, let's talk Davison Igbinosun, the transfer from Ole Miss. What do you see from him? What do you like about Davison?
Yeah, Davison looked good out there today, picking things up, but really just breaking on the ball. I mean, I liked his length. He has real length and got his hands on a lot of balls, and he was quick to mix it up too. I joke with him all the time. He's got that, Jersey toughness, and he's got experience in the SEC, played a lot of football. I just think he's going to bring a lot of competition to the position.
It's length. God, these guys don't know how to say length and hands-on balls. That's a winner. All right. What about your expectations from these transfer defensive backs?
I think they give us great competition there. That's what we need in the back end. We need competition. We need guys fighting to play. We need guys competing against our offense, getting hands on balls. The next step and evolution of this defense really starts in the back end. We all know last year and how things went, and everywhere I've been, it's kind of taken me time to get the back end up to having that confidence to compete. And you bring in two guys like that, and it just pushes the other guys see it, and they walk right in, and they're mature, and they're not messing around. They're not a young guy coming in who's kind of feeling these guys aren't messing around, and it pushes everyone.
Interesting. More hands-on balls. Can't lose. We get a lot of hands on a lot of balls. What about the new Denzel Burke? What are you seeing from him?
I think Denzel this offseason just stood out, man. I mean, it's just his physical development, the way he competed. We were talking about the yesterday as a defensive staff. I have the defensive staff go through a draft, I'm not giving out any of the results, but I have them go through a draft, and we kind of draft our team to kind of see, what our thoughts are on each player. And you can see where maybe somebody, drafted him high and somebody drafted him low. But Denzel came out great in that. And I think everybody has seen the offseason. And then today, he got his hands on more balls than maybe all last spring and camp together. So he just seems to be on point.
First of all, I need to see this draft. I want to be a part of that, where they're choosing defensive players. That sounds pretty awesome. But more hands-on balls. Are they getting a lot of hands-on balls because the quarterbacks aren't accurate? That's what I'd like to know. Anyways, so let's talk linebacker rotation. What does he see for this season from the linebacker core?
Yeah, I definitely want to rotate them more. I think Cody Simon, with Tommy out this spring, Cody's going to have a big spring, and he's going to put himself in position to play regularly. That's my vision, so that we can have a really nice rotation there, which, when you're playing 14, 15 games, is going to help us at the end of the year. It really is. We need to get Cody to that point where he can play, and rotate with those two guys. And then, when you look at CJ and Gabe, the young guys, you're really looking at that leap from year one to year two. Can they show in the spring, like you said, that they're ready to play? You want those guys to force you to put them on the field by how well they play.
Interesting. So Gabe Powers and CJ need to show more to get on the field. They need to show that they have to be on the field, kind of like Sonny, like he mentioned, Sonny Styles early on. He has proven to the coaches that he has to be on the field. Interesting. And what about Reed Carrico? How does he factor in?
You know, Reed's bouncing around a little bit right now. We're trying him out some different positions. You know, we have, our Sam position against 12 personnel. You know, he's kind of jumping around a little bit. We definitely want him to make a push on special teams, and you know, we hope he shows up. And you're looking for him also, like Gabe and CJ, to show that they have to be on the field, show that maturity.
Interesting. He says maturity there at the end. That's interesting. I wonder if it's work ethic or if it's in the classroom where the maturity is lacking for specifically Reed Carrico, but also the other guys, you know. So would love to know that. Anyways, that's all we got for you today. Stay with us. We will be back with more discussion about the spring interviews, and we'll talk about the quarterback interviews. We have Thursday, yes, today. I believe we have more interviews coming with players today from the WAC. So check out those here on this channel or in podcast form, either way. And talk to you later. Go Bucks.